G'day guys, how's it going? So we're now focusing on the main character.
Oh my God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm.
Today I'm going to be breaking down the concept that was created over the past few weeks. In the last episode, we finished all of the assets that we need for the level design and the set dressing. So if you missed it, go check it out in the link up here, or there's also a link in the description. This video, I'm going to be following the process that I went through to create the main character concept art. The next couple of videos are going to be focusing on the character design pipeline, all the way from concepting through to animation. If that's something that you're interested in, make sure that you subscribe so that you can follow along with all my pain and suffering. As I said in the first video, I'm not a character artist, so this is going to be interesting. Anyway, let's get to it. This sprint, we smashed out the concept for the main character. As it turns out, in the last 6 to 8 weeks, I haven't become a character artist, so it was difficult to say the least. Oh, what the hell is that? What the hell is that? Fuck it. I don't even actually have all of the recordings because there was various points during the development where I just lost all confidence and had to slog through it off camera. I will say though that at the end of it all, it didn't turn out too bad. It's by no means perfect, but I'm just dead. I'm glad that's over. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through each of the stages of the concept development. First up was thumbnailing. This is one of the areas that I don't have video for. Turns out, with really rusty anatomical knowledge, it's hard to do cool looking sketches. But this is the area where I write down the key concepts that I want to hit with my concept. I created 8 sketches and then refined 2 of them further. Look at that face, those cold, dead eyes. After choosing my favorite, I wasn't happy with the pose, so I did another sketch in a pose that I liked better. From this point, I do a final line work sketch over the top. This is the part that takes the longest because this is when I'm designing most of the details. For the main character, I broadly knew that I wanted a female character that reflected the broad themes of the game and her culture. The game will have a bright and colourful feel to it, but with some dark undertones that I think will lead to some nice visual and thematic tension. The culture that the main character will belong to is a forest-dwelling tribe, with a feel that combines kind of the Viking and the Japanese cultures. I think there are a lot of aspects to these cultures that juxtapose themselves in an interesting way. By the end of the design, I think that the forest side of things became a much more prominent motif that can be seen in some of the feathers and also the jewelry. The better picture you have in your head for what each section of the sketch is, the faster this section goes. I didn't really know how I wanted the belt to sit together, so you can see here that I changed the design multiple times. I used the blank areas of the canvas as a scratch pad for designing some of these areas. I find that during this stage, it's handy for me to have an image up of someone else's line work that I admire, just to remind myself of certain things at certain intervals, like how to portray the damage, how to do the line work for some of the interior detail, etc. For me, the final important area was designing the tattoo. Tattoos say a lot about the cultures that create them, so I played around with different feelings of tattoos before settling on this one. There's a really well-known tattoo artist whose name I'm not going to even try to pronounce, I'll just butcher it. I'll put it on the screen instead and link to his Insta in the description below. He does these really cool half geometric, half script sort of tattoos that I think make it look like they could almost be a spell, and that's kind of what I was trying to capture here. This design isn't necessarily final, but I think that it should capture in broad strokes the feeling that I'm going for. And here's the final line work. After the line work, I lay in some colours to create a few different colour schemes, and then use the hue and saturation levels to tweak those and change the designs. So these are the 7 colour schemes that I came up with. I decided to go with a combination of the first one and the 7th one. But which one's your favorite? Make sure you comment below and let me know. So once I'm happy with the color schemes, I start rendering. This is another area where I fell short, for a few reasons. The first one being that I have no idea how to render skin. I watched a bunch of tutorials and had to try it over and over again. I managed to capture some of them on camera, which don't look fantastic. But ultimately what tripped me out was that I'm not sure what I want the in-game rendering to look like yet. So I decided to go with largely a pretty flat and simple rendering style, just so that I can get through this stage and get the character into engine as quickly as possible. Once I have all the pieces together, then I'll start thinking about different types of styles. And here is a swipe reveal of the final render. After rendering, the only thing left to do was callouts, which in this case was just a back view. So with that done, here's the finished concept. I left room on the sheet for a T-pose in case I needed to come back and fill that out during the modelling phase. Alright, well that's going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure you do all the things. These likes definitely help to justify my existence, especially after all those faces. In the next video, we'll be getting into 3D modeling and texturing, so if that's something that you're interested in, make sure that you subscribe. But either way, thanks for watching. Cheers! I had to record this so many times today. First time, I forgot to turn on the mic. Then there were too many birds in the background. Then there was the dog barking. And then there was my neighbor's children screaming. Infuriating. Okay, I'm gonna do now concept development. I'll talk about. Yeah. Bird, shut up. Not again. Gotta laugh about it, otherwise I'll cry.